afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I love the energy. We gotta get this show on the road though, but we can hang out later, okay? I'm so happy to see all of you, see smiling faces. Welcome to the 2022 State of Lake Houston Luncheon, presented by Shell Federal Credit Union. I'm excited to join you all today as we take a deep dive into the driving forces leading our area's rapid growth and predictions for future development. The Lake Houston area is second to none, and today will be a reminder of that. My name is Johnston. I am the current board chair for Partnership Lake Houston. I'm also the community liaison for Including Kids Autism Center. If I haven't had a chance to meet you, I'd love to meet you after we wrap up today. We have the pleasure, though, of being joined by three amazing gentlemen today. City of Humble City Manager, Jason Stube is joining us today. Mayor Pro Tem Dave Martin and Precinct 3 Commissioner Tom Ramsey. We'll also have time at the end for Q&A. So as our presenters are speaking, jot some questions down or remember them, and we'll be facilitating that Q&A afterwards. Before we get started with the program, though, I would like to welcome Paul Lyle with Summer Creek Baptist Church to lead the pledges and the invocation. Pastor? Okay. If you guys could rise for the pledge, the American flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. So they asked me to say a prayer today, and I'm going to do that, but if you'll give me 45 seconds, that would be great. I just want you to know how much the Lake Houston area means to me personally. I've been a minister in this area for over 25 years. I see Dr. Fagan here, and my kids have all gone through Humble ISD. As a proud dad, my son was just commissioned as an officer in the United States Navy, and he will be a doctor in the Navy. My daughter will be heading overseas this summer. She graduated 3 years ago and will be doing mission work overseas. And my youngest daughter, who just graduated, is at Texas A&M University working toward animal science degree. So, well done. And I just am very proud of this area. I've been here a long time to see its growth. I remember when we planted our church next to Summer Creek High School, the high school was still under construction, and so was CVS, and there was nothing else here. The Lake Houston actually dead-ended right at our church, and I'm just excited to be here with you. I would like to lead us in prayer, and I know that many of you have already eaten, and I will ask the Lord to bless all that is within us. So we'll do that. If you wouldn't mind, please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, you are a good God. And Lord, we come to you with grateful hearts. Not because of who we are, but because you are a God that you never leave, you never forsake. And Lord, you have blessed our area, the Lake Houston area in ways that we're just astounded. And Lord, I just want to ask that you continue to bless the leaders in this area, Lord, our businesses, our schools, our churches. Lord, that you do great things that we can't even dream of. Lord, I pray today that you will bless this food, that you will bless our fellowship, that you'll bless this presentation. Lord, we love you, and it's in Jesus' name that I ask these things. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Events like today's luncheon would not be possible without fantastic sponsors. Today's sponsors include presenting sponsor Shell Federal Credit Union, Gold sponsors Lake Houston Family YMCA, San Jacinto College Generation Park Campus, and the Mint National Bank. Plains State Bank. We will now hear from Ashley Martinez, Business Development Officer with the Shell Federal Credit Union. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi everyone. First off, how about the Astros? Okay. So first I want to thank the Lake Houston Partnership for everything that they do in the community. I know they work so hard, and we just are so grateful to be part of this. So thank you so much to the chamber. So yesterday, as I was writing my speech, about halfway through, I kind of realized that I was trying to convince you guys, of course, to bank with Shell CU. I was pushing our products, our promotions, our rates, and while all of that is important, I decided to go a different route, and instead, I wanted to tell you why our members continue to choose Shell Federal Credit Union. The last 2 years have taken us all on unexpected. The last 2 years have taken us all on unexpected paths. In the light of the 2020 pandemic, Shell CU was committed to servicing both its members and community in a time of need and financial hardship. We worked closely with our members affected and were able to offer 3 additional skipped payments on all qualifying loans. So usually we do July and November, and in 2020 we were also able to offer March, April, and May to assist those in need. As the pandemic began to unfold, we rolled out a number of free promotions designed to provide financial assistance to families, including grocery gift cards, gas giveaways, Thanksgiving dinner giveaways, pet food distributions, and then our most popular was our Facebook Lives, where we were able to give out tons and tons of gift cards to those in need. As the need for financial assistance continued to rise, in October 2020, we announced the increase of our Garrison scholarship. We went from awarding 10 recipients to 20, resulting in $50,000 awarded in total. Over 100 applicants were submitted from high school seniors across Texas from over 60 different schools. Our youth program, iLife, has also played a vital role in giving back to students and communities. To further support iLife, back in 2020, iLife ran a high school senior contest, and we picked 10 students throughout the Houston area and gave away $250 gift card with a gift basket. Later that year, we also held a contest for teachers where 3 winners were chosen to clear their Amazon basket. So I know a lot of teachers were super grateful for that. And of course, we are so happy to help our community just any way that we can. So not only did we help our members, but we also helped our businesses in the community. In July 2020, Shell Federal Credit Union established our Business of the Month program to recognize local businesses within our communities. Businesses were selected based on their safe and positive work atmospheres, customer service, and active involvement in the community. As many businesses continue to experience the hardships of the pandemic, the Business of the Month program was established in an effort to help businesses gain exposure during the pandemic. Our amazing leader and CEO once said, if there's anything we learned from what we've experienced this past year, it's compassion. We felt it was imperative for us to extend help outside of our lobbies, so we did just that. We set out to do what we do best and got to work helping people, not only as a financial institution, but as a part of our community. This year, we are celebrating 85 years of exceptional service, positive support, and commitment to our communities. Now it's time for everyone to experience Shell. Now it's time for everyone to experience what Shell CU has to offer. Experience cash back, experience service, experience financial freedom. Thank you.
And go Astros! Thank you, Ashley. I now have the pleasure of introducing new members that have joined Partnership Lake Houston. We want to welcome you guys. In the growth category, we want to welcome Air Tech of Humboldt. Welcome. In the market category, Tarek Technology. Joining at the business level, Burns Consulting Group, Hydro USA Distribution, Secrets Hair Technologies, Seniors Helping Seniors, Spring Kingwood Liberty. Are any of our new members in the audience today? If so, we'd love you to stand up. You want to wave to you? Okie dokie. Well, we hope to meet them soon. Also want to introduce, we have quite a few dignitaries in in the audience today. So as I call your name, if you can stand, and then we will give you a big round of applause when I announce them all. So in the House is State Representative Dan Huberty, District 127. Senator John Whitmire, District 15. Commissioner Tom Ramsey, Precinct 3. Mayor Pro Tem Dave Martin. Yvette Gonzalez, on behalf of Judge Lincoln Goodwin, Justice of the Mayor Norman Funderburg, City of Humble. David Pierce, Mayor Pro Tem, City of Humble. Charles Cunningham, Humble City Council Member. Paula Settle, Humble City Council Member. And Drew Gutierrez with MUD 152. Thank you guys for all joining us today. It's now my honor to welcome our first speaker, Jason Stubbe. Jason is the city manager for the City of Humble. He has been with the City of Humble since 2013, serving as the city secretary and assistant city manager until 2018 when he was appointed as the city manager. Prior to arriving in the Humble area, Jason worked for the City of College Station for 6 years as Senior Economic Development Analyst and Assistant to the City Manager. In his time with the City of Humble, Jason has focused primarily on economic development, downtown revitalization, core services and infrastructure, and modernizing city operations, in addition to managing approximately one disaster each year. He sports a yellow jacket well. Stubbe graduated from the University of Illinois with a BS in political science and a master's in public administration. Jason is the luckiest guy in our because he's married to Lindsay and has 2 fantastic children, Caden and Addison. Mr. Stubbe, the mic is yours.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Erica, for letting me go first ahead of Dave so that I actually have time to speak. He did tell me that I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to use about 30. We're here at the Golf Club of Houston, and I'm reminded of Caddyshack and how do you measure yourself, and he says by height. And when you think about, how does a city measure itself in its economic activity, in its forecast, we do that really through sales tax data. So I'm going to throw a lot of numbers out here at you, but I think it's going to give you kind of an idea about where we are at emerging from the pandemic. Keep in mind, I'm only speaking to our 10 square miles in the city limits of Humble, but I think it's probably also a pretty fair assessment for the entire Lake Houston area. Currently, we're, from a sales tax perspective, we are looking at exponential growth over the last 2 years. Actually, it's so large that one of the first months coming out of the pandemic, we get the sales tax numbers about, I think on about the 7th day of the month from the comptroller. And we actually had to call the comptroller's office asking them, was there a mistake, was there a miscalculation, because it was so large. We're currently looking at about a 19% increase fiscal year to date for fiscal year 21 over the previous year. April itself was up over 16.5%. We saw increases of about 31 and 22% respectively for November to December sales. That's our bread and butter in Humble for retail sales. That's the Christmas season. So what does all that mean? It means we're on pace to a record-breaking year of seeing sales tax revenue for the city of about $16 million, which translates to about $2 billion. We're flirting with about $2 billion in total sales just within the city limits of Humble alone. That's again, just within our 10 square miles. So to say that we have bounced back and made a comeback is an understatement. But probably the question everybody has right now is, okay, well, why? Certainly there wasn't just that much pent-up spending power as people were sitting in their homes for a year or so. Obviously, inflation is going to be a part of it. I think the latest CPI that came out was 8.1. That's the highest increase since early 1980s. That's certainly a part of it, and I wish that it was as easy as saying, okay, well, of that 19%, 8.1 of it you can consider as inflation, but it's not really that easy. So we have to look at other factors, and what those are, we're seeing exceptionally strong growth really across all major categories and sectors. There's no single business that's really being left behind as we look at the sales tax that we're experiencing from them. We're also seeing a growing number of receipts in regards to B2B spending, construction, manufacturing, and wholesale trade. We're seeing, again, a surging number of consumer spending as COVID recedes. That's comprised of strong employment wage growth numbers, and it's causing some double-digit growth in receipts from almost all retail sectors. And we also have to look at the pandemic spending patterns. As everybody was sitting at home staring at their houses for a year, they saw everything that was wrong with them and that they wanted to replace and repair. So we saw a lot of increase in home improvement and furniture. But flagging during the pandemic was clothing and accessories, electronics and appliances. Those were depressed, but those are now also bouncing back. So all of that combined, and you get kind of, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Is it all just inflation? No, it's not. We are actually seeing some strong economic growth numbers, and we're pretty bullish right now. Where does this ultimately plateau at? Honestly, I can't say. I'm not an economist. We should have came to that lunch a couple months ago. But I am pretty confident that we're going to be on a pretty good trajectory going forward for the next year or two. What are some of the threats to this? Obviously, talked about inflation. There's only so much money that people can spend above, the needs that they have, their monthly needs that they have in groceries. And so we're going to hit that point at some point when you're going to see a slowdown. When and how does that look? I'm not smart enough to tell you. I'm just here to tell you that will happen. That's what we're trying to mitigate those risks as we go into next year's budget. Also, you've got obviously geopolitical unrest, and is there going to be another surge that shuts things down? Do I think we're going to shut down again? No, I don't. You've got the mask mandate being lifted from the airlines. All of these genies are being taken out of the bottle. They're not going back in. That's a good thing from a market standpoint, but there's still always going to be that uncertainty that we've got to measure in the back of our minds as we go forward. And finally, one of the bigger threats, and it's creeping up this week specifically, is a changing regulatory environment, specifically as it relates to sales tax. As during the interim charges, the House is considering whether or not to move Texas from an origin source state to a destination source in regards to how sales tax is collected. Ways and Means is meeting on that on Thursday. Lance and I are making the trip over to Austin, and we're getting the business community riled up throughout the state. But that's a big shift. That's a paradigm shift. That's 65 years of tax policy being considered to be completely upended. And what does that mean? That means if you mail anything out, if you ship anything out, you now would have to know the taxing rate of 1,700 taxing authorities. That's going to have an impact on small businesses, but then also on tax collectors like cities that rely so much on retail sales for their bottom line. The city of Humble, where 45% of my general fund is related to sales tax. So we're monitoring that closely, and I do consider that a threat to our vitality going forward. In regards to development, on the positive side, working with Lance and previously working with Mark, we've seen about 1.8 million square feet of new logistics, warehouse, and retailing space go up in the city of Humble over the last 2 years, with about another 200,000 on the way immediately. That's just absolutely extraordinary. We've got the biggest one filled at 685,000 square feet there at the corner of Will Clayton and 59. That's being taken over by Living Spaces. Hope to see them opening very soon. I know they're putting the finishing touches on it, but they've got a combination retail space and the logistics and distribution up there. So we're excited to have that. In the last year, we saw about $80 million go into commercial properties. It was kind of a quirky year for us. Normally we see about 30 million in new construction each year. Last year that was down to only about 5 million. So we're monitoring that number. A lot of that from previous years was due to that 1.8 million square feet of space coming online, so there was a natural slowdown there coming out of the pandemic as well. Right now on the ground, we've got about $300 million increased in taxable value for the city, and we're looking, at about total is $1.5 billion in total taxable value on the ground. We've got more rooftops on the way. We've got several planned developments coming within the city, adding about 1,000 new residential homes and dwelling units. So I think you're going to see an increase in the population just within the city limits alone of about 3,000 within the next 5 to 6 years. That's going to be, and I think that's probably going to be maxed out for us. We're at 15.5, give or take now. So we'll hover around 20,000 or so. But as far as the city limits of Humble is concerned, that's going to be about it for us. We're running out of green space pretty quick. We often talk about when you look at an aerial image of Houston and Harris County, the northeast border is about the last of the green space that's available. Within the city limits of Humble, we only have about 927 acres of developable land left. That's not already spoken for or planned for. And out of that, about 75% of it is owned by two separate single owners with contiguous parcels. And that is going to go fairly quickly. We've had meetings over the last couple of weeks with several prospects that are looking at doing wholesale master plan commercial developments. And for those of you that are on the board or heard me give economic development updates, you're going to love when I say there's a lot of exciting things going on. I just am not going to tell you about it. But trust me when I say, we're looking at numbers of somewhere around another $1.5 billion in potential capex coming to the city of Humble in the next 5 to 6 years if some of these projects actually come to fruition, which I think we're relatively confident they will, because the market conditions are finally right for them to develop. So we're talking paradigm shifting changes to what the quote-unquote skyline of Humble is going to look like in the next couple of years. Also want to talk a little bit about our infrastructure and our core services. We've dumped a lot of money into infrastructure and core services over the last few years. $20 million this year alone in capital projects, most of that going towards drainage, improving roads. We've got Rankin Road, which just finished. We're coordinating with TxDOT on relocating our utilities to help with the lovely 1960 construction project that we'll all be living with for the next 3.5 years, I believe. We partnered with the SJRA, the City of Houston, and several other MUDs in helping funding a few studies to help alleviate our flood problems, including a sedimentation study, reservoirs on Spring Creek north of us, and as well as figuring out dam operations between the two lakes. The city kicked in about $150,000 total there, and we're also making improvements to our water and our sewer systems annually. Public safety, I do want to touch on real quick because it's a critical issue for us right now. I think there used to be this somewhat sense of security and insulation and isolation from the rest of Harris County and the city of Houston in particular, but that's getting to be no longer the case. Our world is growing smaller, and crime is here for better or for worse. And how are we coping with that? How are we dealing with that? Is a daily concern for all of us at City Hall, just like I know it is in Houston City Hall. And we are doing what we can. We are giving our police department the tools and the equipment and the funding necessary to keep up. But it's getting hard. And I'll tell you, it's a growing problem when I've got guys telling me that they're frustrated in that they're going and they're picking up someone, and by the end of their shift, they see them back out on the corner waving hi to them. And that's a real problem, and we've got to figure out something. There's something not right in the system, and I'm not going to opine any more politically on that, but it's what we are having to deal with in the city of Houston, or city of Humble, and I'm sure certainly in the city of Houston as well. That being said, our major crimes have been down the last couple of years. In fact, pretty much across the board. with the exception of one category of major crimes, and that's burglary, is up about 4%, but that's still down from 2 years ago. So we're making headway here, and you know, our guys are doing quite frankly one of the best jobs, and I can't say enough for them. You also have to understand, yes, 10 square miles is the city of Humble. Yes, it's only 15,500 people that sleep here at night, but over the course of the day, you have approximately 150,000 people coming through our city on a daily basis. You're going to the airport, going to work, commuting to downtown Houston. So while we are small, we have to operate like a city of 150,000 on a daily basis, and you have to take those into consideration when you look at our services, especially on the policing and fire and EMS services. Now that I've gotten through the depressing side, I can tell you about some of the fun things going on. Since I've been here, one of the big things that I have been excited about has been downtown and what to do with it. We often talk about, I kind of likened it to one of these HGTV shows where it's got good bones. And it does, and that's the thing, that's the exciting thing about it. We've talked about. I think we're finally getting to a point where we're going to actually do something about it. And so I'm currently working on an RFP to partner with an architectural and engineering firm to kind of master plan out downtown and determine what we want it to be going forward. We have been on a tear recently in terms of buying up properties as they become available. And I can tell you that the end goal, I think, for those properties is for the city to enter into some sort of development agreement with a development firm to offer those properties, probably for pennies on the dollar, so that we can get some new commercial, mixed use, and residential development right for downtown. Because we have got to be thinking, what's the next step for Humble? It used to be, we were just this singular retail hub with the mall and all the retail activity that we have. Particularly there at the corner of 59 and 1960, well, the market has become oversaturated. You've got 99 and 59, you've got Beltway 8 in Westlake, Houston, you've got 1960 in Westlake, Houston. So the market share has spread itself out, and so we've got to, as a city, we have got to go down the road of what do we have to offer now that can help offset some of that dilution in the market. And I think one of our niches is going to be, I think it's going to be our downtown, because no one else in this immediate area has something like that to go to. So I'm pretty bullish on that, excited about that. We've got a new senior activity center coming. That serves not only our own senior citizens within the city, but actually, Kingwood, Tascasita, Summerwood, throughout the school district. A great number of our participants in our senior activity center actually don't even live in the city of Humble. But we recognize it as a valuable quality of life amenity, and we're reinvesting in that, and we're excited about it. Touching back again on downtown a little bit, if you participated in all in Good Oil Days or in the Christmas parade or Music on Main, you can see that we are pumping a lot of effort in bringing some activity and entertainment into the city, and I would expect that you can continue to see that. Jennifer Wooden, of course, is here with us today, and she's a big part of that. She's the director of our Civic Center, but also she's my fun department, and she has done an excellent job at that, being innovative. And I tell her, I give her as much levity as I can to go out there and try new things all the time. And that's what I kind of tell all of my staff, is to try new things. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, then we'll make modifications going forward with it. We're on the move right now. There's some growing pains as always, but from an operations standpoint, I'm excited about the future for both the city and the greater Lake Houston area in total. So that's about all I had for now. Erica, you get to introduce who's next, and then I think we'll get to questions and answers. All right.
Thank you. Round of applause. We have incredible leadership within the city of Humble. Thank you, Mayor Funderburg. Thank you, City Council members that are here. Thank you, Jason. Exciting things and fantastic leaders like Jennifer bringing the fun excited about all of the amazing things going on within the city of Humboldt. So our next speaker today probably needs no introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and read all of his amazing accomplishments anyways. That's Mayor Pro Tem Dave Martin. He's a proven business and government leader. Dave has been influential in providing sound business and proven decision-making skills to the council in dealing with notable issues facing Houston today. First elected in November 2012, public safety, fiscal responsibility, and economic development have been and will continue to be the cornerstone of Dave's daily priorities. On January 2nd, 2020, Dave was nominated as Mayor Pro Tem by Mayor Sylvester Turner, which was confirmed by the City Council. Dave was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, and is a graduate of Louisiana State University. Mayor Pro Tem, the mic is all yours.
15 minutes, right? So, thanks, Eric. I appreciate the opportunity. Selfless plug. Tonight we have a redistricting meeting at 6 o'clock at the Kingwood Community Center. Every time we do a new census, we are required to redistrict. And as you know, District E, which is the area that I'm fortunate to represent, goes from Kingwood all the way down to Clear Lake. And there's been a lot of folks that, especially from the Clear Lake area, that want their own guy. And I get it, I really do. But I, personally, I love Clear Lake. I love going down there. I love the people of Clear Lake. They're some of the kindest, hardest working people you'll ever meet. And selfishly, I wouldn't want the district to change much. Probably not supposed to say that, but my life has been more complete having the opportunity to meet a lot of great people down in Clear Lake. So tonight begins the process of redistricting at 6 o'clock at the Kingwood Community Center. So Tuesdays are always my favorite day. Why? Because every morning I meet with Mayor Turner, except Tuesdays. So Tuesdays are my days to sort of relax a little bit. I can go to the gym, which I did this morning. Maybe stick around a little bit and maybe have breakfast or lunch with my wife. But this morning got me off to a bad start. After I came back from the gym, I was looking for Dr. Fagan, who I usually see, working in her workout room back there. But there was an article in the Tribune that stated, Tom Grove wrote it, and if Tom was here, I'd strangle him. Lake Houston Dam project on hold, okay? So I was telling Jason, it's either the dam project or the damn project. So this morning it's the damn project. So go to the damn project slide and I'll show you what we're talking about. So, I mean, this has been, we're so fortunate to have, what's that? Okay, he'll click it. I get too proud. We're so fortunate to have phenomenal partners to work with. No one's been a better partner than my dearest friend, Dan Hughes, for some of the things that he's been able to do for us in the state. And I really look forward to Dan being in Austin, doing his new gig, and Charles coming in. And then having Tom Ramsey. I knew Tom when he was the mayor of Spring Valley and when he was the CEO of Klotz Engineering. Good to have an engineer that knows what they're doing on Commissioner's Court. And my daughter actually did an internship with Klotz way back when she was a freshman at the University of Texas, studying civil engineering. And then our friends, we just heard from Jason and we know Norman, that last week they helped us with a significant issue related to water. They gave us some of their water rights back in the city of Houston. And also Senator Whitmire, who's been very helpful for our area, and we look forward to more help that we're going to need this coming session when it starts in January 23. But the dam project is not on hold. If it was on hold, I wouldn't have met with Tom Ramsey, 3 weeks ago with Army Corps of Engineer Colonel Vail to talk about the dam. I wouldn't be meeting on Thursday with Dan and Charles and some of our other partners to talk about the dam. I wouldn't have met yesterday with Friesen Nichols, Black and Veatch, Stephen Costello to talk about the dam if it was on hold. I'll show you the timeline. The dam is moving as rapidly as we can move it in relation to dealing with the federal government, because this is a FEMA project. This is a project that is funded through FEMA dollars. So It's going to take a requirement for a BC ratio, benefit to cost ratio of 1.0. And Tom, as an engineer, can tell you that the BC ratio needs to be changed to the BS ratio. Right, Tom? Because it is BS. So some of the things that I argued yesterday about when we look at the BC ratio is that we have to hit 1.0. And it looks like we're not going to hit 1.0. But if you hit 0.75, you can throw in social benefits, which gives us the opportunity to get the project fully funded. Because we have $50 million, $50 million. We don't have 75, we don't have 20, we don't have 300. So when the engineers designed some of the concepts that I'll show you in a minute, we kept telling them, we have $50 million, guys. We don't have 200. We can't do some of the extensive work that you want us to do. And this is a structure that was built in the 1950s. So it was built as a water reservoir dam. It's a spillway dam. The gates are not meant to open and release water. But we've done that about 20 times proactively to release water to reduce the capacity of Lake Houston so we can build some artificial capacity when rain comes so that we don't flood. And Dan doesn't call me and yell at me because water's getting in his backyard and near his pool, which we have on a number of occasions. So this is the timeline. Go back to that, Justin. And as you can see, we're doing the detailed design engineering up until July. And we need to do the design because that'll give us the ability to look at the BC ratio. But once we do that, then we'll be able to figure out how much is it going to cost, how much we can afford to pay, what does the ratio look like, and we think we'll be in pretty good shape. Now, the BC ratio is a calculation that takes many things into consideration. My argument yesterday, and it was based on in the 1978 Stafford Act. It's based by FEMA looks at the detail from 1978. And who in here thinks that the world hasn't changed since 1978? Hurricanes, tornadoes, floodwaters, San Jacinto Water Authority getting into the water business, Cypress Creek, Spring Creek, all those conditions that affect the very area that we live in. So it's crazy for them not to have the Stafford Act redone to take into account global warming or interesting positions that we have dealing with the sand mining operators who uncontrollably send sand to us and get in our backyard. So the 1978 Stafford Act is what they're using. And what seems to be hurting us a little bit in the BC ratio is our pre-release strategy. So far, we've pre-released water about 20 times. I'll never forget, Dan, Easter week 2018, when we had every one of your neighbors yelling at us when we released water the first time because their boats were in mud and the fish weren't going to live. And I'll let Dan tell you what he said about the fish. So anyway, but lo and behold, we reduced it from 42.5 feet above sea level down to about 38. Dried the lake in certain areas. And then over the next couple of days, it refilled with the amount of rain. And looking at the calculations, had we not done that, people would have flooded. But since they didn't flood, guess what? Hurricane Harvey was a once-in-a-lifetime event. And my argument to them is that we continually would have flooded had we not released water. Every time it rains, we proactively release the water. It's been a brilliant strategy, and it works. But it seems to be hurting us a little bit, which is where, Colonel Vail and Tom Ramsey as an engineer come into play to help us with this thing. So what we're looking at proactively is that in anticipation of us maybe not getting to the ratio we need, go to the design elements. So the one we're looking at now is for 1A is the new one that we're starting to look at now. Maybe building some gates onto 1A instead of where we originally talked about, 1B, 4A. And that was the one where we had, you actually go into a facility. The dam is a water reservoir facility that was built in the 50s. And to do these gates, you're going to have to chip away at concrete. An engineer can tell you when you start chipping away at concrete, maybe you're going to question the integrity of the dam, which we never want to do. We never want to be accused of flooding our downstream residents if something bad happens. So my biggest fear is that when we get to the point and we have the contracts that are being let, who's going to take, what construction firm will take the business risk side of that and build this facility where you're going to chip away on an existing dam structure? So that's part of our issue that we have, that you may compromise the integrity of that existing dam, which we don't want to do. But until we get the design, until we get the schematics, we won't be able to figure that out and how it works with the BC ratio. So meanwhile, I'm not going to sit around. We're going to start looking at another option, and that's 1A, which means you build gates. 1B on the east side of the existing structure, where you don't really have to chip away at a lot of things. Is it more expensive? I don't know. Maybe. Is it going to give us a good BC ratio? I don't know. Maybe. But the partners that we have the ability to possibly get us some additional money. Right, Dana? Right, Charles? So, Senator, so when we go to them and we ask them to do things for us, in turn, they're going to ask for us to do things for them. Right? Right?
You know it.
So we have the ability with good partners that we have in the state to maybe look at adding some money like Dan did to a bill that got us $50 million in additional dredging money that we use right now, that we're attacking some areas in his area where he lives, in Rogers Gully, and some of the areas. If you played Walden and you hit a T-ball from 18, the fairway of 18 to 18's green, you might not have to hit it to the green because you can hit the piles of mud that's in the middle of the lake and have it roll up to the green. But we're attacking that, removing the sediment that's been there for, God, 10, 15 years now. So we have a lot of good things that are working. I hate people that are negative. I hate people that show up and say, well, this is the bad side of it. And we have a number of people that are old curmudgeons, that all they want to do is talk about the negative. Jason just presented some phenomenal figures on what the Lake Houston-Humboldt area is looking like economically. Some of the things that we've been able to do to keep off the floodwater since 2017 have been phenomenal due to the efforts of the people I mentioned that are in this room today and continue to be. Dan may be going into a different gig, but he's still going to be able to help us working with Charles, and I know Charles is going to make an enormous impact in the House. And some of the things that we're looking at is, as we show the dredging summary that Dan has helped us with, in the mouth bar area, including the West Fork, we've removed over 4 million cubic yards of silt and sediment from that area. Okay, that's just the West Fork. The Rogers Gully by Balding Country Club, the dredging began in March. We're estimating that another 250,000 cubic yards will be removed in that particular area. Then we go back to what FEMA shut down when we had the argument with them that there was more sediment in the mouth bar related to Hurricane Harvey, more sediment in the West Fork related to Harvey. Therefore, they should give us more dollars via the Stafford Act from 1978 to do additional dredging. And we lost that argument because our 96-page report that was filled with analytical data, LIDAR, barometric studies, went against the Army Corps of Engineers tabletop measurement, which meant they got out in a boat, and from the boat they looked at it and said, ooh, this mud was not a result of Harvey, it was a result of something else. We did core samples where we showed the sediment was discolored from certain areas, and we had a geomorphologist who actually could pinpoint the sand DNA and told us exactly where it came from. So we protested it all the way to the Army Corps of Engineers headquarters in Walla Walla, Washington, and they agreed to give us more money, which means we're going to get an additional 1 million cubic yards out of the West Fork, probably within the next couple of months as we bid it out. So we've also, I passed a resolution for the last budget to create a Lake Houston maintenance program. So we have a Lake Houston maintenance program for the city of Houston. You know how much money we have in it today? Anybody guess? None. But we created the program. But What it does is it gives us the ability, working with Charles in the House, to proactively go back, and with Senator Whitmire's help, go back and create this district so that we can use tax dollars from the very people that use our water with the Northeast Water Treatment Facility. That's our water, the city of Houston. It's right in our backyard. People should pay for it, even if they live in Katy, not in the city of Houston. Even if they live in areas outside of the city. So if they pay for it, they need to help us protect the integrity of what we have in that dam structure. So maybe we can be successful in 2023 when Charles gets up there working with Dan and working with Senator Whitmire, making sure we have this. So, I'm sorry?
In 2018, you passed a budget amendment, so there's actually money accumulated.
Nah, that's
to the
not
tune of
much.
$100,000.
Yeah, but that's not much to do, Greg. But you're right, you're right.
So that's 3 times 100, that's potentially $300,000 in there. Thanks to
300,000.
your budget.
Thank you, but we need more. We need 50 million. Senator, we have 300,000, Senator. You have 5 million. You're more valuable than we are. But anyway, we have a lot of really cool things. I always tell people it's we've come so far since 2017. We really have. Every time it rains, it just drives. I'm sure Norman's shaking his head back there. We have PTSD. We just worry about it. But because of some of the strategies that we've implemented, because of the dredging, because of the lakes and releasing the water out of the dam structure, and when we get this new dam built eventually, and it's headed on the timeline, it is not on hold, we're just making sure that we look at the best alternative method of building onto this dam structure that we have. My idea is to build a new dam. Well, anybody got $2 billion? Because that's what a new dam would cost. We tried to work with our congressional leaders and with the infrastructure, Biden's infrastructure bill. Who knows if, when, or what's going to occur with that. But we have to work within the confines of what we have today. And we are fortunate to have great people like Senator Whitmire and Dan Huberty and Tom Ramsey and Charles Cunningham and Norman and Jason and all our partners that do this, because we're lockstep with each other, we're in sync with each other, and that's a way you can go to sleep at night and protect the very area that you dearly love and dearly live in and will live in for the rest of our lives. At least that's my case. But I didn't touch on a lot of the details on the dredging. I wanted to put this rumor to rest. Anytime you read a blog and there's negative reporting, turn the blog off. Call me anytime you want to, and I'll tell you what the actual story is. Because there's a lot of good things happening. We're going to get this dam built, and I'll be damned if we don't get it built, because it's the very life of us. Along with the interior channels of Kingwood that we're doing as we speak. Channels like the Kingwood Diversion Canal, channels like Ben's Branch, channels like Taylor Gully that you've heard about, where we're doing extensive work. Because no one did anything since Kingwood was built in the 60s and the 70s in those interior channels. And Tom Ramsey can tell you everything's a systematic flow downstream. So if you have clogged channels, the water can't get to the intended path of the San Jacinto to the Gulf of Mexico. So in order to do that, you've got to start up, clear the channels, get the water flowing, get it out of the San Jacinto to the Gulf, and eventually we'll be safe. So we're doing a lot of work over by Kingwood High School, where we had some issues, and they're doing a lot of work every day that I pass by there. So is my 15 up? How'd I do? 14? Okay. But thanks for the opportunity to speak. Anybody has any questions on the dam, just let me know. And I couldn't do it without Dustin and JB telling me what I need to say and what I need to do. She always worries. She gave me a script for tonight because legal's running the meeting tonight. And if I got a mic in my hand, legal don't like what I'm going to say. So. Thanks, Erica.
Thank you, Dave. Our final speaker today is Precinct 3 Commissioner Tom Ramsey. Commissioner Ramsey was elected to serve as County Commissioner for Harris County Precinct 3 in November 2020. His office is responsible for maintaining approximately 47% of all unincorporated Harris County roads. This includes 6,600 lane miles of roadway, 68 parks, and 10 community and nature centers. Commissioner Ramsey's engineering team currently manages $390 million worth of construction and capital improvement projects. With over 40 years of experience as a professional engineer, serving more than 50 Texas cities and 20 counties, Ramsey brings forth proven solutions and knows what works and what doesn't. He has a long track record of improving safety, infrastructure, livability, and financial health of the communities he serves. An award-winning civil engineer turned public servant, Commissioner Ramsey listens to you, his constituents, and ensures you're represented at every commissioner's court. He has led a city, companies, key action groups, and more throughout his career. Commissioner?
Thank you, Eric. You know, y'all are correctly named in terms of the Lake Houston Partnership. Key word there is partnership. Because if you just listen to the two presentations before, and I've got Dave Martin has been my friend, and don't hold that against me, for many, many years. But Jason, as well as Mayor Funderburg and almost the entire Humble Council, has been helpful. One thing Jason didn't tell you, when he tells you the sales tax is up in Humble, Metro should send him a thank you note, because the amount of money that's going to end up being in general transfer. So just know that what Humble does up here matters. I used to go to many meetings. There's 33 cities in addition to Houston in Harris County. You saw an example of good governance in Harris County. I always try to build on areas where you have good governance. Where you're talking about Humble, you're talking about Tomball, you're talking about Crosby area. When you're talking about Baytown, a lot of these areas they do have, and we should partner with them. So partnership matters. Met with recently the Humble Independent School District. They gave me the plans of what they got. I think the football stadium is going to be cool. I like what's being planned there. A park, I'm in, all the way in to that park near the new football stadium, and they said I could sit in the press box on Friday night, so I'm going to be doing that. Partnerships matter. Senator Whitmire has partnered with Southwestern Seminary and others to do some incredible things inside the prison system. Partnerships matter. So when you hear people in a very partisan, as Dave says, negative way, run around the barn always complaining, when no one ever has a solution to anything, I'm tired of it, frankly. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of digging holes in Harris County and say we're mitigating flood. You can't dig enough holes in Harris County to mitigate the flood. You're going to have to think big, just like Dave talked about. You need to do something with the dam. We say, well, that might cost $2 billion. Well, what happens if we don't do something? Why don't we start asking those kind of questions? When you look at a 40-foot diameter tunnel under Buffalo Bayou, 120 foot deep, it's a siphon. They've been doing that for 2,000 years. This isn't complicated. Would it cost $6 billion? Sure. What's the penalty if we don't do it? I tell you what it is. VHB told me, if it floods again, energy corridor, not exactly here, I'm going to get over here in a minute. If it floods one more time, they're out of here. They spent $200 million responding and recovering from Harvey. We can't expect people to do that year in and year out and us just sit here, well, you know, maybe one day we'll build the Ike Dike. Another article in the paper today, well, you know, it's going to be this. Build it. My glory. We should get out here and do things. That's why I like the partnership. Y'all are looking to the future. I like a 50-year plan. Most people in America think of a 50-day plan. I'm sick of 50-day plans. We need to start doing things with the long term. When they built the ship channel, that wasn't with some idea that you're going to build a port 51 miles inland, and now it's a #1 port in many categories in the country. So I agree with the partnership, and I'm going to continue to work with my friends in Humble, with Senator Whitmire, with new state rep here, old state rep, till he's out. Those kind of partnerships matter. When people call me and they say, can the county help? My answer every time is yes, we can. I may not be able to do all of it, but I can do something. And this attitude that, there's one thing about it, everything you just heard, some of it's in Houston, some of it's in Humble IXD, some of it's over here, some of it, all of it is in Harris County. So we do have a responsibility, I think, to be that partner that can bring other things together. Tell you while I'm on it, regulatory issues are going to be the death of Chamber of Commerce. We are regulating businesses out of business. We need to do everything we can. When someone walks in, should we be permitting properly? Absolutely. But when someone comes in and says, well, I need to get a building permit, okay, fill out this form, apply confident. But to take 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, y'all probably have stories that you would share in terms of how long it took your company, how long banks it took to get certain things done. Montgomery County, it's important that we work with our neighbors, get them to adopt Atlas 14. That's just a side note. We can do that. We can't do it with a tuba core, but we can sure do it with a conversation too. Work with the San Jacinto River Authority on a lot of different issues. All the mining that goes up and down the sand pits that are up and down the San Jacinto River, we can do something about that, Senator. I mean, it's doable. We need to address it. The problem I see, and I've seen it for 45 years of doing engineering. In fact, one of my first projects I did out of A&M was in Crosby. I drilled a well, and that well was at 1976. And I talked to a lady last week. She says, well, we're going to take that well out of commission. It's provided good water for 50 years, and now we're going to drill a new one. You know, I thought about that a minute. I called Subsidence District. You know one of your number one issues in the Lake Houston area is going to be with the growth that's going to take place between Lake Houston and the east side? Subsidence. A whole lot of wells being drilled. Just pay attention to that issue. Don't ignore that issue. Those are the kinds of things that we know about now we can begin to address. I'm going to quickly run through some things. Dave, on redistricting, if you need any help on that, I'll be happy to tell you what not to do. But precinct 3, and I'll quickly run through. We've got these people are awesome. Many of them on this slide have been doing this for 30+ years. They are responsive. Here's what we do when you call with a road problem. By the way, I got 6,000 miles of road in precinct 3. That's 60% increase over what I had before they did their destructive redistricting. Now listen, I don't like what they did, but I'm going to make something good out of what they meant for bad. So people can run around here and say, well, we're going to do this, fine. That'd be just fine. We're going to take care of what we need to take care of, but these people will answer your questions. They will respond within 24 hours. What does that mean? We'll fix it. Not answer the phone, not send you an email. You call me with a pothole. You call me with a blocked drainage problem. You call me with a tree down. We'll have it fixed in 24 hours. I can say that because that's what we've been doing for 30 years, and that's what we're going to do here. When you look at the different things the commission does, one of the things here that people forget about, and we're involved in healthcare and parks and other things, but parks. I like parks. Jesse Jones Park, not too far from Mumble. It's a great venue. How many of you have been to Jesse Jones Park? That's a good number. It's a great place to go and hang out. That's very serious. Do you know how important parks were during the pandemic? People had a place to go. Some people closed those parks. We don't need to be doing that. Parks are important. about 68 in this precinct. We're gonna continue to give priority to those sorts of things. That's the new precinct, and yes, I started Memorial City. You go north to Tomball, and you can hook it to the east, and you can go to Humble. We pick up the Woodlands on the way. We got the best shopping you can ever have in Precinct 3. From the Galleria to Memorial City to the Woodlands to Humble. I mean, we got some good shopping. Doesn't make any sense in terms of what was done. But I guess that's why they did that. I'm not sure. So that's the layout. I've got a bigger map over here. The number of people that have called me and said, I have no idea whether I'm in your precinct or not. I said, well, just in case, you just call me. Call Iron, we'll help you figure that out. But the priorities I've kind of alluded to. There is drainage issues we need to deal with, working with Dave. If your ditch hadn't been cleaned out in less than 10 years, I'm volunteering, I'm asking. If your ditch hadn't been cleaned out in front of your house in 10 years, somebody messed up. I put a little pressure on Jason there. But what I'm saying is, that's how you keep drainage going. You take care of stuff, you do the maintenance. Dave's setting up a maintenance program within the city of Houston. That's brilliant. That's exactly what we should be doing. And this particular issue in terms of a public housing on Lake Houston, I have written a letter saying that that particular piece of property needs to be sold to Humble ISD because we've got some school needs within Humble, because proper communication was not done with the residents, and it's just a better use of property to do that. So just know that's my position. I know that was an issue I inherited, and the number of issues I've inherited is interesting, but this one, just know that that's where I'm at, and that's where we're going. So those are some of the phone numbers, and I think we're approaching the end of time. I just want you to know the number one issue in Harris County. I'd rather sit here and talk about parks and our next drainage project in Kingwood and Humble that we're going to deal with, and roads and how we're going to maintain them. But the top three issues in Harris County is this: crime, crime, and crime, period. And until we get serious about it, it's going to continue to be a problem. What's driving crime in Harris County? Policies. Policies. They can blame it on Washington. They can blame it on the pandemic. And that's what people that don't have a clue do. They blame it on something. It's a choice. And thank you, Senator Whitmire, for standing up last week and communicating some things that needed to be communicated to do this. But I'm going to end on a sad note. But I'm doing it on purpose. I had a friend that lived 3 houses down from me. He goes out for carry out on Friday night because his two little girls, they're 12 and 10, and they want to carry out. So he goes Westheimer. Westheimer picks up his Friday night carry out. He's driving home. He's surrounded by thugs. They shoot into his car. They burst an artery in his leg. He calls his wife. He says, honey, I've been shot. She says, well, let me get 911 there. He bled out and died on a Friday night. That's not right. I am fed up with it. We all should be fed up with it. And when you say, well, Tom, what can we do? One, you can let some people in downtown Houston know about it. And Commissioner's Court would be a really good place to start. That's one. And two, if you really want to get in the middle of it, Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers. Those people are the only ones that get it, focused on it, and actually doing something about it. Like the end of Chamber of Commerce kind of a thing. But it's important that we, as a partnership, partners in getting some things done, focus on some of those important things. So lending your voice to those kinds of things. Thank you for allowing me to serve you. I'm looking forward to it. And again, being that valued partner that you would be. Thank you.
we are just a little over time, but since I did promise questions, I do want to open up to just a few, and then I know that these gentlemen will be happy to stay after for a little while if you have questions one-on-one. But does anyone have just a burning question that they were sitting on? Not seeing any. Okay, everyone's going to handle their business after the luncheon. Okie dokie. Okay, I do want to remind you of some upcoming events we have at the partnership. Monday, April 25th is our 30th annual Golf Classic. We have golf teams that are still available. It is a fantastic event. You will be fed. Your thirst will be quenched the entire day. You can play golf if you would like, but regardless, being on a team is fun because you get fed and you will drink and have a great time. We also have volunteer opportunities that are available for those that don't play golf. So we encourage you. Diane is our fantastic golf chair, so she'd love to answer any questions after the luncheon. Humble BizCom is May 12th at Humble High School. Join us for that. Next month's luncheon is on May 17th. It's the State of the Healthcare Luncheon. And I'm seeing that it's at Humble High School. And then we have networking after hours next month, May 19th at Atascocita Golf Club. And finally, this is not possible without outstanding sponsors. So one more time, we've got presenting sponsors, Shell Federal Credit Union, gold sponsors, Lake Houston Family YMCA, San Jacinto College Generation Park, the Mint National Bank, and our silver sponsor, Plain State Bank. Please give those sponsors a round of applause. This will conclude our luncheon. Everyone have a fantastic day. Thank you.